I've spent many, many years of my life begging, pleading, cajoling, leering at, swearing at, demanding, pleading, bribing, no quid pro quo, with product management to get partnerships onto the roadmap. And this is something that I've learned about how to make those relationships better. I will tell you, though, it is always a complicated easier. But let me tell you a story. So software has always and always will always be about partnerships. Because the reason is software is a part of a system, right? You're not just selling one thing to one customer, you're selling something that a customer has a whole system of solutions, and you're only a part of it. However, it's so easy to forget that when you're focused on customer development and customer feedback, which you absolutely should be doing. But let me tell you, I was going through my stack of 1980s PC trade magazines like we all do. You have a stack of magazines in your closet too, right? No, just me? Okay, I'm weird. That's fine. So I look in 1984 at this Info World magazine. This is when the software industry ended. We all remember that. That's what they predicted, that everything was kind of come to a complete crash in 1984. That's what they said. We all remember that happened. Well, why did they say that? Well, what they were saying is there's this model that people were doing where they hired a huge number of salespeople to go out and sell a few thousand enterprise accounts for a few tens of thousands of dollars ACV. I don't know if anyone does that today. I mean, no one does that anymore, right? And they said, well, this was not working anymore. That was coming to an end. People had reached a ceiling of growth for software, and you couldn't just do these enterprise sales anymore. But there was a glimmer of hope, a new hope. Software was starting to come in boxes for $700 and being shipped across shopping malls of America. And there's one particular company, Lotus 123, that in the first year they went out to market, they sold, in today's money, $100 million of Lotus 123. Now, they did that by picking up a phone, not to call a customer. They called IBM. They made a partnership with IBM to ship Lotus 123 with every one of the new IBM PCs getting shipped across all of the United States. And, 1 year, $100 million of revenue in today's money. We all strive for that, but they could do that because of a partnership. But it wasn't like that simple. This is still the early days. Microsoft was not the biggest software company at the time, right? MicroPro was. That is WordStar, if anyone remembers WordStar, a very popular word processing tool. And I think the word processing category is a good example of what the power of partnerships is for software. So WordStar became a very, very big company because they did the same thing. They bundled WordStar with every personal computer that went out to market. But these are Sinclair's, ZX81s, TRS-80s. They put it into these kind of personal computers. Microsoft, however, of course, had made the partnership with Microsoft to do MS-DOS. And so they've been growing very well. But the story of word processing really tells a tale of how things can change. Now, WordStar quickly died because the platform underneath them died. ZX81s, Sinclair's, no one uses those anymore. It all went to IBM PC. But another company, WordPerfect, took over, right? And they built word processing for MS-DOS. And they did a very typical thing that product management teams do all the time, which led to their demise. Microsoft, obviously a partner to them because they built MS-DOS, right, said, hey, we're making something called Windows. We'd like you to move WordPerfect onto Windows. WordPerfect's product management team said, no, thank you. We're listening to our customers. We know what they want. They want more features, and we're going to double down on our existing version of WordPerfect for MS-DOS. And Microsoft said, okay, we'll build it ourselves. And they built Microsoft Word for Windows. And guess which one won? I think it's pretty clear. WordPerfect, it's still being used in law offices today. It's owned by a company in Ottawa, but not doing very well. And this is the difference between understanding your customer as a product management person, understanding the wider ecosystem of the partner ecosystem that you're in. And that's what your partnership team is trying to help you do, is navigate the whole ecosystem your customers are in, not just you and them and your product, right? I'll tell you one more part of this story. Microsoft has always been about partnerships. They believe, they fundamentally believe Microsoft is best served when it's a platform that other companies can build businesses on and make money selling to customers. Right? They are deeply committed to this concept. They are absolutely proud that whenever they make $1, their partners have made $8. This study in 2011 they put out showed the simple mass of the Microsoft partner ecosystem. And I'll tell you, like in 2018, Gartner put out a study saying that the global GDP of SaaS was about $73 billion. That year alone, Microsoft made $110 billion. They are a ginormous mass, right? They account for about a fifth to a quarter of the global ICT spend. You know, they're a $1 trillion ecosystem, and that's because they've always believed in being a platform that other businesses can build their businesses upon. And many of us in SaaS try to own the whole enchilada ourselves, and this means that we have to do all the work ourselves, and that means as a product management team, when you're listening to feedback, you're listening to this very narrow pipe of information of your direct customer, direct sales, when you're missing the bigger ecosystem. So now that I scared the crap out of you about why you guys are all failing, let me now help you get back onto the happy path with how you can work with the partner teams to find these opportunities. And the first thing is to speak the same language. So if you ever talk to a partner person, they have a lot of jargon. I mean, it's a profession, right? And there's a lot of things going on in the channel or in partnership land, ecosystem, APIs, MSPs, platforms. This is stuff that hopefully your partnership person understands, and if they don't, we have a trade association, the Cloud Software Association, where we talk about this endlessly, and we'll help your partnership team out understanding all this stuff. But you don't need to know this. This is what their job is. Your job in product is to simplify it to what you can do in your product team. And I'll simplify it to you. This is the framework that you can use to basically understand every partnership deal that comes to your table from the partnership team. There are really only 3 metrics that matter for partnerships, especially for SaaS. Number 1 is demand. Like partnership teams basically most of the time want to bring in new customers in the door. That is almost always what they're being measured on. That is almost the most important thing. But the second most important thing you'll find in partnerships and product is adoption and retention. This is where they're building out integrations to your product extensions. The reason there you want to build a whole product solution, if you read Crossing the Chasm, you're trying to sell a complete solution to the customer, and no one can build an all-in-one solution because you're part of an ecosystem of other products. So this is where adoption and retention comes in. And of course, revenue. Of course, if you do demand and adoption and retention, you can sell bigger customers. But this also means cross-selling and upselling other products, so you can get revenue from selling third-party products and services with your offering. The next thing you have to understand, there's 3 types of partnerships that matter. Now, most of us are used to product partnerships. Those are, of course, the integrations. And I will say that the one thing that SaaS has done better than the PC days is that our product partnerships are way, way, way better. And that's simply because all the software is on a network now. So we can integrate data and flows, even UI components, widgets, embeddable components. All this stuff has been a lot better because of SaaS. But the part where we've been doing really poorly on has been sales. And sales partnerships are very, very difficult with SaaS. Now, if you think about it, you know, it's always a great story when someone says, I love your product so much, I want to sell it to my customers. They're like, that's a great day, right? But, you know, how do you do that with SaaS? When software came in boxes, it was really, really easy. You could just buy a bunch of CDs, build it into your solution, put that on more CDs, and then sell that to a customer, right? But you can't do that with subscriptions. And this has really held back the channel for reselling. And, you know, it ends up being a referral channel. And then if you have a really good sales channel, then you can amplify and get distribution. So when software is in boxes, you can actually ship it to shopping malls. You know, you can buy software at Staples. There is no Staples for SaaS, right? There's no really good place to buy tons of software off the shelf. I mean, the Apple App Store is probably a good example, Google Play and the mobile. But you know, B2B SaaS, where do you buy that stuff en masse? It's very difficult. So you do still see it with SaaS. You still see things like G2 Crowd, Capterra, these are referral marketplaces, or like they're often tied to the product, like Salesforce App Exchange, right? Or the G Suite marketplace, they're tied to an Anchor app. So these are things that we see in SaaS, and you're going to see a lot of these things coming from your partner team. I will say that this problem around sales being really, really difficult with SaaS is what AppBind is here to solve. We are trying to make it very easy for these agencies, these resellers, partners of yours, who want to take care of their customers, and they need to manage the online subscriptions as part of their project. AppBind, what we do is we make credit cards that they can go and buy the SaaS and ads, and it will charge the client instead of themselves, and then make a nice monthly online statement for the client, so everything's very well organized, but it keeps the agency out of the billing process. So that's what we do, and we have an enterprise version of this, which helps people who are trying to build distribution in marketplaces where they want to also create point of sale for SaaS. So those are the things that we do, and that's why my secret reason for being on stage. We can talk about that later. Now, and the last thing you need to understand about partnerships in SaaS that's very particular to SaaS is the love triangle. So because of the subscription, you as a SaaS company want to own that customer. The partner also wants to own that customer, and often the customer went to the partner first and cares more about the partner relationship than they do about you, but you'll end up fighting with your partner in some way or in some conflict with your partner, and this drives literally everyone insane in this relationship, and you'll find that in your product experience when you're dealing with partnerships that this tension will cause all the friction and requirements, explosions, and support costs, and this is something to be mindful of, and and to mitigate. So those are all the ways of thinking about partnerships. How do you actually work with a partner team? The easy part. Prioritization. So every product team I've ever worked with has gotten very frustrated with the number of partnerships that I bring to the table, because it's not like a sale. When you're dealing as a partnership person, your job is to talk to lots of people and line up potential opportunities that may or may not happen, and even if they happen, may or may not result in revenue, right? And so you're talking to a lot of people, right, in order to line up activity. And what could happen when talking to product is that you hear a lot of projects coming down the pipe, and you don't know how to figure out which ones to do. And it's different than a customer opportunity. If it's a sales opportunity, you can put a dollar figure on it and say, well, this one's going to be worth this much money because there's going to be a contract signed. But partnerships are not like that. It's more of an estimate. And the easiest way that I found and other partnership teams have found to sort this out is not to overthink it, keep it simple, and use t-shirt size costing. That's usually enough to prioritize what to do. So small, medium, large. And there's only a few dimensions you need to track. And you kind of have to make your best guess. I mean, obviously, you're going to make an educated guess, and your partnership person should have done some research. But here are the ones I care about. Customer need. If the customer is not served by a partnership, it's not really a partnership. I mean, a partnership means you and your partner are going to market together to serve some customer. So you have to demonstrate that customers actually want it. So that's the first thing you should check. Second thing, partner people care about demand the most. So you should always check if there's how big the partner is, how big their channel is, and also if their customers are large or medium, small, depending on your segments. If they're a lot of small businesses, you may not want them. If there are a lot of enterprises, you might want them, or vice versa, depending on how your product is fit. Second is, of course, the cost. So how much dev cost it's going to incur to your product team. Also, the marketing will also be expensive. Sometimes you have to do a lot of trade shows, or there's marketing development funds. You should also put that into the spreadsheet. And the most important column, I like to call it hot to trot, but it's willingness. Is your partner excited about this? Are they actually excited to work with you? And this is actually the most determinant of whether the partnership will be successful. If you have a lukewarm partner, they're going to deliver nothing on the execution, and it's going to all come to nothing. So this is the most important thing. And your partnership person should be trying to get everyone excited. That's actually their main job. And then, of course, qualifying the opportunity. You notice there's a column over here called program. This is very important, and I found when I was coaching partnership teams, the biggest mistake they had was doing a lot of one-off partners. And what happens is you end up whipsawing. We just had the talk with John about work in progress, or how many projects you have going. Same thing with partnerships. If they're all different partners, you're going to go insane, right? Programs are much more important than any individual partner. And the reason why is the partnership teams place bets. because you cannot guarantee the result of a partnership. Like, that is a lot of risk that a partnership person is taking. And by the way, if you have any empathy for a partnership person, which maybe you don't, you should. The reason why they drink so much and they're freaking out and they get really angry when you do not deliver on your commitments or you say no to them is they are trading their reputation in order to line up a partnership deal, and they're depending on the company to give them resources to execute on these deals. And when the product team kicks their knees out, you're saying that they can't bank those bets. Like, I can't execute those deals I just lined up. Don't do that. Have some empathy, because they're basically gambling with the company's resources in order to solve these problems of the wider ecosystem problem. But your job as a product team is to then figure out a way to make those bets cheaper for everyone. And this is why programs matter. If you do the same partnership 4 or 5 times, you're going to have a lot of different bets in the same area, and you can leverage the resources and learn from one partner and improve the other partnership. So try to group them together. So, like, for instance, I had like all the shopping cart integrations you might put together, because they're all going to have similar requirements. So do them all at once in one batch. Don't launch them all at once, but build them all internally so that you can like leverage the learning, keep the developers in the same mindset, and try to like use one partner to improve the other partner's experience. And that's how you can place more bets more efficiently. And for love of God, never, never, ever, never, ever, never, 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 ever, never. How many times should you do this? Never, ever launch a product partnership ever without talking to a marketing first. God, this is so aggravating. Engineers go and code an integration and then launch it, and then you find out in marketing, it's like, what? That was a huge partner. We could have leveraged an entire marketing launch playbook and got a huge number of customers from this, and then there's no leverage anymore once you've launched it. Never ever do that. If you don't have a lot of experience doing product launches in your company, the trade association, we all got together and shared our playbooks and put together this like comprehensive partnership launch checklist. It will help you and your partner, figure out how to get the most out of this relationship. Your partner also wants to get a good marketing lift from any integration you do. So please never, ever, 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 ever launch a product integration without talking to marketing. There's a crazy waste of resources. Never do that. Please use this checklist. It's pretty straightforward. I mean, demand is what everyone wants. Make sure you get a big bang out of that investment of your resources. Now the hard part. This is the part that will grind you down because it is different and complicated, simply because SaaS is difficult and complicated for partnerships. So like I mentioned, like in the old days, the good old days, if I was a system integrator or a value-added reseller or a dev shop, I used to be a Microsoft coder back in the Microsoft channel. And I buy licenses to components and put it into my software and put that onto a CD and sell that to my customers. It was great. Customers do it all the time. They would hire, some system integrator or MSP, and they would go and buy a bunch of solutions and on behalf of the customer and put it, deploy it to the customer. So this is really easy with licensed software, but how do you do that with subscriptions? Obviously this is something that AppBind solves, but think about it in general. Like if I'm a customer, I have a preferred partner, whatever that is. So it could be some kind of dev shop that I've hired to build stuff out, but they're going to have to buy subscriptions to things like AWS and Typekit fonts and New Relic and GitHub. Like how are they going to do that for the customer? They can't, because they don't want the ongoing billing relationship. So this is a problem that a lot of us have had to solve in product in order to enable this. Or even if it's like a marketplace, right? If I wanted to go to, like Shopify is doing this right now. They're integrating billing to Shopify App Store. It's really complicated. Like you have to figure out a way for these third parties to get in between you and the customer to manage all these parts of the billing. And it's like all these little pieces that are each individually are very, very complicated. So like provisioning, like creating an account, deprovisioning. What happens when you have to turn off that account or a user leaves the company, you have to turn off that user. The billing integration, you have probably a very complicated or unique billing model that you may want to change in the future. But if you integrate your billing with a third-party marketplace, whenever you need to change your billing model, you have to change it in all those third-party marketplaces. Also, your support team has to support billing changes in multiple places, and your finance team has to track different billing engines and models. Now, this is the things that makes channel very difficult for SaaS. The support team, of course, has to know who this partner is, because now they're in between you and the customer. And of course, who supports the customer, you or the partner. And how do they even do that? How does an agency log in and manage the account? These are things that you are going to have to answer. And then the legal part is actually also important for many products, where there's you have to have, talking to a phone company, they have to have a 911 disclosure, because the VoIP doesn't have 911. They have to get the end customer to sign that. So these are parts of the product you're going to have to include in your product roadmap. I didn't say it was easy. This is the hard part, right? It's simply because of the nature of subscriptions. But I would say, for the most part, if you're working with individual agencies, you should not get tripped up on the mechanics of all of this. The most important thing that an agency cares about is selling themselves to the client and supporting the client. And if you just focus on the business use case that they're trying to solve first, the mechanics can come later, because a lot of stuff can be worked around by hand. Do it the easy way. Keep it simple, stupid. Crawl, walk, run. Whatever analogy you want, keep it very simple. Now, I have a resource here called the Easy Reseller Channel. It's on Bitly, you guys. Just go to that link. And I have a very detailed outline of how to just do things in a very simple way. I found a lot of people over-engineer working with partners. So you really just need a landing page to work with agency partners. Get their name, start talking to them, find some manual ways of supporting them, add a referral program next to attract commissions. Then work on collateral, get them successful first. Don't worry about this complicated stuff over here. They can do it by hand. And then if you're going to have to do it for a big marketplace, I will tell you the place to do it, you will have to do it for some marketplaces. Like Shopify will make you do it. If you want to work in the Salesforce App Exchange, you're going to have to do work to be in Salesforce App Exchange. Right now, as the state of the affairs and the market is, focus on those big marketplaces that are actually also product integrations where you have a lot of customers. Forget about the rest. They're not necessarily going to deliver. They have to prove they're going to deliver customers to you for the amount of engineering that you're going to do once and the carrying cost of that engineering. Focus on demand. Focus on customers first. Don't worry about building a lot of stuff until you can prove that customers want it. It's always about the customer. After all, your partners, you're selling together. Just keep your eye on the prize, and that is serving that customer, and then everything else becomes a lot easier. So hopefully, if you take some of these tips home, simplify the framework of what you need to think about partners, have some empathy for the fact they're taking a lot of bets on behalf of the company and risking their reputation, and some of these tools like that prioritization framework, you can work better together. So with that, I'll take questions. This is my email as well. But happy to talk to you about anything I've learned about partnerships, products, and working together. Well, it depends what kind of partnership. So, yeah, he's asking how long does it take to do an MVP of a partnership program. So one of the things about making programs over partners is you'll find there's many different kinds of partnership programs. You have an affiliate program, referral program, reseller program, different kind of app integration programs, marketplace programs, and they're all kind of separated based on the class of partner you're dealing with, and that's why you kind of need to make programs, because you want to get enough partners in that bucket to place enough bets that you can then make the investment on a completely new kind of thing. If you're talking about, we talked before, you're talking about agency partners, put a landing page up that say, I'm open for business for partners, it's like lean startup stuff. You are now the founder of a new startup called your partnership program. Just do the least amount of work, like put a landing page up, explain what your offering is, collect emails, reach out to people on LinkedIn or meetups or whatever you're doing, talk to like 10 agencies in person, try to figure out, a lot of mistakes people make in SaaS is it's just very, very unfortunate. They treat their partners as part of their sales team, right? Rather than treating yourself as part of their sales team. It's completely backwards. Who's closer to the customer, you or the agency partner? The agency is closer to the partner. You're there to support them. They're building a giant project. You are one tiny part of it, right? But a lot of SaaS companies have quotas. They put pressure on the partners. And like, why do clients hire agencies? Clients have anxiety, right? They have some problem that they can't use their internal organization. They can't rely on their internal organization for some reason. No capacity, no skills. So they hire an agency, which annoys their organization. And all the agency has to do is lower that anxiety to make the customer feel happier, right? And then you have the SaaS company pressure cooking the agency to drive sales through. That's just going to annoy the agency, and they're going to drop you like a hot potato because they don't need to bring that anxiety to the client. You have to be there on the agency side to help them lower the anxiety and improve the success of the customer. So MVP, simply talk to agencies and say, hey, what are your clients facing? What are you doing for them to make them more successful? How does my product fit into that? How can I make you successful? What are the best software companies you've ever partnered with that help you do this? How can I emulate that? Those are like good questions on the lean startup model, and that's what you should do. Question over here.
So in the Word example, you talked about how it's a part of the work of partnerships, people to understand the market and the options that customers have outside of their own product and the relationship with the customer. How does that translate into day-to-day work? Like, how do you think if you're leading a team of partnerships at a company, how does that translate into work that you? What's the tangible work that comes?
You're asking, like, if you're on a product team for a software company, how do you explore the wider ecosystem the customer is living in?
Yeah.
So I actually do have a grad degree in product management, and we did on participatory design, where you just first thing you can do if you can is be in the customer environment, or at least interview them about what their day-to-day is, regardless of your software. Just find out what's going on in their life. You'll find there's a lot of other products that they're in. You should be doing, if you're a mature product team, you should be doing user interviews and testing like that. And try to take it away from your core product once in a while. Get out of the cloud, like get up out of your product and try to think of the customer's life in general. You should be doing those, of course, once a quarter. I think is the typical recommendation, just to keep your head in the game with the customer's life. Also, at trade shows, events, you can just talk loosely with customers. It's a good place to do it. Another thing you could do is more specifically, which we do all the time, is we just do a survey. What other products are you using? What other services are you using? If you have an integration directory, you put a little field in there. Is like any integrations we're missing. Which product should we integrate with next? You should just be very specific. Like you have to make a priority what products to integrate with. Are there other? If they are working with partners, when people are signing up for your product, if you think there's a lot of agencies signing up on behalf of clients, ask them on the sign-up form. You'll find a lot of people are surprised. Are you signing up for yourself or on behalf of a client? Suddenly you start segmenting, these signups are actually done by a contractor. We should be doing something different here because they go on different needs. So those are very simple tactical things that have been very, very successful. Any other questions? All right, awesome. Oh, sure.
When you talked about how difficult the sales part, partnership sales, sales partnerships are so difficult because often you have people that have to now sell a product that they don't necessarily understand as well. Do you have any best practices around how to give a new product to a team that maybe doesn't have any experience in selling something that's a little bit outside of their comfort zone? Like any.
You mean like training your agency partner?
Yeah.
So if you have enough resources, co-sell with them the first sale. You lead the sale, let them be on there. And the second one, let them lead, and then coach them on afterwards. Usually after that, they've got it. Make sure you do. It's like, how do you train your sales team internally? Take those same materials and put them on the partner collateral site. Often they only need like 3 or 4 slides. Sometimes they don't want to do the sale. People ask, well, agencies don't want to do the sale. They want me to sell it. The reason why they do that is they don't trust you. And so they don't want to take the reputation hit of selling something to a client that is going to fail. So they want you to take the reputation hit. So what you need to do is build their confidence up that what they're selling is going to work. That might take a few tries, but make yourself available for co-selling, and then take your internal documents for your sales team and like put them out there for the agency, and then give them, ask them like, what kind of assets do you need? Often they need like 2 or 3 slides, a 2-pager, a webinar, a video, right? And start with simple things like that, and then the more you talk to your agencies, your partners, the better. So many people don't have partner newsletters. Have a partner newsletter. Have a partner Slack community as well. Stay engaged with your partners. They're your partners. They're there to help you sell. Yeah. So I'm at Sunir at AppBind.com. I love to talk to everyone who has a reseller problem or a partnership problem. I also buy a lot of drinks over the year because I run the trade association. So come talk to me. If you're interested in partnerships, I'll get you connected to the whole network. Thank you very much.